we go long, but I think we should be able to do it. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. We still don't have minutes from the September, October, so we're deferring those. So we'll start with old business, and that's just to review the concerts. Van started talking a little about you just want to give a quick summary, Van?
Oops, sorry, guys.
Yeah, sure. It's just was very successful, very enthusiastic audience. The performance was amazing. That's enthusiastic, just unbelievable that he plays that well at age 22. His repertoire was something that suited the audience, and the attendance was okay. Like I said, we could maybe raise the capacity, particularly at that church, maybe back to 75%, at least in the short term, and see how things go.
I think
everything went well.
The old formula was like a 15% no show at events where there's no ticket charge. So
probably should put that back in for places that are like that where it's free. And the other thing I might suggest is I got blindsided by the page turner, and they told me they couldn't perform without it. And I said, oh no, because I knew Mary Johnson was gone, and we always relied on her. So if you have a pianist coming in, that's a question that I will be asking well in advance, and all of you should do that.
Yeah, I would write to the agent and remind him that it was not in the rider, because that's something. If it's not there, we really don't have to provide it. I mean, unless it was there, unless there was they made a mistake. But
yeah.
Well, part of the problem is the pianist is not represented by this agency.
Yes.
Only Zlatomir.
Oh.
And he was a substitute, and so I'm sure that remember Mick was the original agent. Now Mick has left the organization, gone somewhere else, and so he gave it to this lady named Perry, and she didn't cover all the bases, but we got them covered. But yeah, I should inquire anyway.
Thank you and Jody for quick thinking and finding someone. That was helpful. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Becky's not here to talk about the Pure Theater. Did anyone attend that? Kristen?
She's coming in now, actually. She's coming into the meeting now.
Okay, well, hold off. Joan, you want to stay just a couple of minutes on the piano bar?
Oh, it was really good. We had 135, obviously, plus the band, and everybody had a great time. And the one coming up, the 10th, I think we'll have equally as good a crowd. It was very upbeat. I felt very good about it, and everybody going out just felt good about it.
Thanks, Joan. Becky, are you there? You want to talk a little bit about Pure Theater and how that went?
Well, yeah, I thought we had a good crowd considering it was half as many as usual. I thought it was an excellent performance. The actor was amazing to have remembered all those lines for nearly 2 hours. It might have been a tad long for some people, and it touched on some subjects that maybe might have bothered some people. I don't know. I hope not. No one complained to me anyway. And I thought the crowd liked it, but I think they were ready to leave when they left because it was sort of long. It was funny. It was what we sort of expected. But I had forgotten that there were a couple of issues in there that might have offended people, at least in the past. So sorry you missed it, David. I think you would have liked it.
I wanted to. Yeah, it was.
I had some feedback. Yeah.
Go ahead, Joan.
You did.
Yeah, I had a lot of people that did not care for it. They couldn't see it very well. Part of the time he was lying on the floor and these people couldn't see him. The stage he should have been on an elevated stage, in my opinion. And I think in the future, we've had the avant-garde. I think we should look to some traditional theater, maybe from Footlight Players or Dock Street in the future.
The language was also what I heard feedback on.
What, say that again?
Language,
Stephanie?
the colorful language.
Yeah, well, you know,
My feedback on the length, my feedback on the length was, he announced it was going to be 75 minutes, and as you said, it went to 2 hours. That was one of the big things. And it was, I wasn't so offended. I just thought part of it got pretty boring after a while. It was
I saw
repetitive.
people sleeping. Yeah.
It should have been 75 minutes. I'm surprised it did take long. Did they have an intermission or not? They shouldn't
no,
have.
no.
No.
I had seen it before, but that was about 5 years ago. And I had forgotten that there were so many references to his sexual orientation. And I thought, oh boy, we're going to hear about this. But
I didn't hear about that.
it was.
I didn't hear about that, Becky, at all.
Well, good, because I think our audience now is getting a little younger, and maybe they're not quite so touchy about stuff like that. But we had a major problem with Snyder's. And for one thing, Stephanie called them for me, but they were very, very, very busy. And they said that they might not be able to do it at all. Then they could come, but it was on Sunday itself. And I'm telling you, they were setting up risers right up to 3:30 right before the audience came. And they brought some of the wrong stuff, the wrong size legs. They didn't bring the stairs that I ordered from them. And so the resort people scrounged up some stairs. So the chairs were not as high as they would have been had they brought the right size legs along. And so that was part of the trouble. But Pure Theater wanted no stage. It might have made some difference. The stage is usually 12 inches high. It might have made some difference, but it was too late by the time we discovered Snyder's had screwed up that way. They had to actually send the truck back to get stuff, and they couldn't get it into the elevator. The ones that they brought were too big. We've had that trouble before, but the guys hauled them up the stairs at Turtle Point, and these guys weren't willing to do that. In some ways, I don't blame them. But anyway, sorry, my phone's ringing. But next time I would certainly say, let's just bring the smaller size risers and put them in the elevator. It's easier, even though it's more. So there are issues like that that didn't come up in the past. But Snyder's has, I think they're dealing with day workers now, and they're understaffed, and they just made a lot of mistakes.
I think in the future, we're really going to have to consider when we do theater and even dance, if we have to put together and are responsible for the actual staging as opposed to the people we bring in, it's more responsibility on our part to do this in advance and to get it right. And we already had a problem with Snyder's in the symphony too at West Beach in terms of bringing it in. So I think we're just going to have to be very careful in terms of how we deal with that in the future. We've got to move on, and Becky, you weren't here, but I've got to cut out a tree, so I'm going to try to get through the meeting as quickly as we can. Becky's going to be late or may not come, but I asked her to do an update. Stephanie, do you have her email? She can, in terms of handies, in terms of Burning River, in terms of what's going on with that?
Yes, she says that they are on track, and that there is a contact person that they use for backline, and they need to get a piece of equipment. And if that person can't provide it, she's pretty sure that Ron Wiltrout can. And so that was the only thing that's pending there. I'm working to get their accommodations sorted out right now. So they are a go as far as Burning River.
That's the glockenspiel that she's having problems
Yes,
with and
thank
getting.
Mhm.
Joan, and we've got Howard Blackwell
David.
coming up.
David,
I'll be happy to do that, Dan.
David?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were moving on. Regarding Burning River Brass, Holy Spirit does not have a sound system we can use. And in the past, we've had to bring one in. And they do need a sound system because they always talk between numbers.
Do we have specs on the system from the rider? Do you know?
Well, what we have done before is borrowed a PA system's all they need, a PA system from Church of Our Savior.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen last time and nobody could hear her speaking.
Hmm.
I'll remind Jody about that. Who is the backup for Jody?
She doesn't have one for that event.
I think, was I?
I don't have one on the list for that
Stay on the
event.
list.
Okay, I'll contact Jody and find out about that and also about sound system, because I may be able to pick it up for her. Get it done. Okay.
Why don't they have one now? They did
Oh.
have a microphone.
They
that
have
we
a
can
huge
use.
sound, they have a huge sound system that they set and you cannot change it. And every mic in the place comes on, including the pulpit and everything else. So you get all this sound picked up from everywhere. And all they need is a little PA mic. So
Oh, okay.
they're not willing to turn off any of the mics and just use one.
Didn't
They
we
just aren't.
buy
Same thing with their
a
lights.
portable mic one time along the way? Did we get rid of it when we got rid of our other?
Yes,
Equipment?
we gave it to Church of Our Savior. We gave all our
Oh.
equipment to Church of Our Savior. That's why we are free to borrow it. They're
Oh,
okay with us
okay.
borrowing it. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
good.
Joan, you want to review Blackwell?
Oh, okay. We've been in touch. I went over there to Seabrook, and fortunately they were setting up for a event, and the stage was just where I wanted to have it. And the stage is 16 by 20 is what Howard wanted. So I took pictures and showed him basically how we hope to set it up, and he seemed very satisfied with it.
Is the stage going to be on the side when you first come in, not the window side, the wall side?
It'll be on the, as you come in, it'll be on the far side of where you come in.
Okay.
Not, he doesn't need a movie screen or anything behind him. So this way we can do more of a semicircular arrangement around the stage with 3 rows of seating in front and then the tables behind there.
So when you walk in, he's going to be against the farthest wall.
Right,
That has
right.
windows behind it.
Uh-huh,
They have curtains, right? Was that?
Yes.
Yeah. okay.
right. So he was happy with that, and Seabrook is used to setting up that way, so that makes it nice too.
Yeah.
Good. How are the tickets going, Stephanie? They went on public today, is that right?
They did. There is 45 left. So a good portion of them went to Kiowa, but that was good because I had a couple of Seabrook residents call in this morning and were wanting to get tickets, and they're still able to. So that's great.
So it will be a sellout, yeah.
Does he
Joan,
need
do
lights?
you need help? And do you want to know who's coming?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you're going to be there, if you need tickets. I do.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, you and me, babe.
Okay, well, see you. And you all know about Seabrook's vaccine protocols that they instituted, the Board of Governors at the clubhouse. So it's weird. You have to wear masks in public places. So as people come in, they need to be masked. They have to show their vaccine card or have been tested in order to actually enter the club,
Right.
enter in. So bring your vaccine cards, and we've talked to event services, right, Stephanie? So they're used to that for some of the Charleston venues. So this will be different from our resort venues because they've
Yeah.
instituted this vaccine requirement, and
Yeah.
we've changed the wording on the advertisement, so it should be clear. So hopefully we won't have any fuss about it, but just so everyone knows, if you know people going to it, make sure they bring copies of their vaccines cards.
And I'm gonna put it in the pre-show email that I'm gonna send out. And I might send that one out. I do them normally 24 hours in advance, but I might send that one a little earlier just to make sure. Or I can do probably another one, just because people aren't accustomed to that. But
I have a question. Does he need lighting for his act? Because he's going to be up against the wall where there's no lighting against that.
we have lighting.
What's
Yeah.
that?
He's happy with the interior lighting with the
Okay.
chandeliers and stuff.
We have
Hey.
lighting budgeted for that event with Thomas, with Innovative Events.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
And you'll probably need a microphone.
Yeah, he has his own mic, but I think I have to check. We need one more, I think, for a walk around.
Does the lighting people know when they're going to be there? So they can do a sound check and light check?
Yeah, we have to arrange that, right?
arrange that, yeah.
You can be in touch with Stephanie and she can be the interface with the lighting folks then, so they'll know
Right.
what time to show up. And then you'll handle the passes at the gate for everyone so
Right.
that they'll be aware.
Right.
Okay. Stephanie, anything else that we need to know about the Seabrook stuff? That I can't think of anything.
Not at the moment. I think we need to back up one on the Charleston Symphony Orchestra, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to tell you guys that event services cannot be there at that event. They apparently there's multiple events going on downtown, and the two event services companies that are available are all, they're all staffed out. So I have ordered counters for that event. I'm pretty sure that myself and maybe one or two other people can man the door and use the counters. That's kind of what we talked about our last meeting. So yeah, I don't know how else to manage that other than we're going to have to count and then just turn people away if we reach capacity.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. And also, the CSOL has sent out lots of publicity about the house tour that includes publicity about the free concert sponsored by us. They always give us credit, but I've been also putting out a little publicity and saying seating is limited. I don't know what our Stephanie, what your publicity has said.
So
Does it say seating is limited? I just wanted people to know they could be disappointed.
Well, and that's why today is the normal e-blast that goes out bi-weekly for Arts Council promotions. I wanted to beef up that language, but I wanted to get with you guys today on it, that it's been saying limited capacity, doors open at 4:30. But this one, I wanted to add that it is limited capacity. And once we reach capacity, there'll be no more admittance. So I wanted to kind of firm that up because now it's closer to, and so people will be paying attention to that. So if you guys are okay with me kind of making that language stronger. And then also I was holding out because I wasn't sure about some of the, Quentin's release date, Judy. Yeah.
Yes.
But can I finish a little bit
Yeah,
more
sorry.
about the symphony? I have found out that we can have the reception in the lobby, which originally Barbara told me we could not. And I went and looked at these rooms she suggested having it, and it looked like 50 people maybe could comfortably be in those rooms. So then she said, oh, I didn't know you really wanted the lobby, so you can have the lobby. So good. So now I think the symphony's paying for this, by the way, and it won't be musicians attending, but Ken Lamb is fine with it. He'll probably wear his mask and elbow people, but he's comfortable. He's been to receptions at the Gilliard as well. And we'll do a toast that's just a small plastic cup size, small plastic cup size, sort of half full for a toast. And I'm not sure who's going to give the toast. If anybody wants to volunteer to get the toast. But
Becky, I
during
can
the
be there.
concert,
I can
John
be at the
Lapiola,
beginning to help count, but I cannot be there for the reception. How are people going to be invited to the reception? Are you inviting the entire audience?
Okay, well, when I thought we had to go into these little rooms, then I thought maybe we were going to have to invite people, but now, specific people. But now that it's the lobby, I think we're back to saying to the audience that they are welcome to join us at the end of the concert for a champagne toast to Maestro Ken Lamb. And during the concert, John Lapiola is going to present him with a proclamation, which I'm working on right now. And Stephanie's going to print it up for us. And I've ordered a frame, so it will be framed. And he's going to do that between numbers. The staff knows about it, but Ken doesn't know about it. And so that'll be a surprise. So, but at the beginning, Ken does know about the reception. So at the beginning, when I introduce the symphony, then I will mention that people can, if they would like to, can stay and toast Ken and have a little chat with him and so on. And we're
Becky?
sort of hoping everybody doesn't stay. So I don't know how we handle that, but I thought of preparing for about 200 people to do a toast. It's not going to be standing around drinking champagne for an hour. So it's just going to be a little sip and a toast.
Becky,
So
why don't you do
Go ahead, Judy.
the
Judy,
toast?
go ahead.
Yeah, why
I
don't you?
don't like,
Becky, why don't you do the toast?
well, I may do it, I guess, unless somebody else would like to do it. I will do my best. So any suggestions? And the other thing is I've asked the CSO staff, the CSOL, who are pretty strapped for volunteers at the moment for the house tour, but some of them to stay and open champagne bottles and do the pouring. And I'm not sure if we're going to have trays to pass around or just have it on a table and people can pick it up. I think that's the best way.
Mhm.
And, but we do need some people to do that. It's maybe 30 bottles of champagne to open. They won't charge for any that we don't use, which is great, because they're charging $52 a bottle, the resort. And so are any of you willing to help with that champagne thing? Okay. Good.
Becky,
My husband's going to, and a few other
Yeah.
people, so.
I would suggest that all
Yes.
the glasses be filled prior to the end of the concert, so people can just pick up the glass on the way out instead of having people pour,
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
as the crowd is
Yes.
coming out.
Yes.
And you can just announce, as you leave the concert, pick up a glass of champagne in the lobby at the tables. I'd have them at tables in the hallway so that they're not spread around, so people can spread out a little bit, even on the
Yes.
side, so that the champagne glasses are in different places, not just at one
Yeah.
table.
Well, we're doing it this way to save money, of course, because if the resort did this, it would cost us the symphony a whole lot more money. So the people that are going to help do that are going to have to leave the concert a little bit early. Yes. And I think putting them on tables is a good idea. I just hope all 300 people don't decide to do it. I don't know what to do.
You're offering free champagne, so you're taking that chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They'll all be at the table.
I think, but Becky, I think you're right. I think, get them in, get them out, toast, and then tell them to hit the road. I think that's the best.
Just do the toast as quickly as we can. And then if people want to linger and chat with Ken, that's okay for a little while, but there won't be any more champagne. And so probably they won't.
Becky, for those of us who are going to be there at the beginning to count, what time do you want us there?
Well, I think 4:00, maybe 4:15. I think people are going to start coming early, and we'll probably have a little crowd management to do, because that's a lot of people that we're not quite used to having that many. I wondered if you think 350 would be okay instead of 300, because I think the house tour is going to have over 500. And if they all descend upon us, they won't all, but if they do, it'd be maybe nice to. I want to spread the chairs out, and the symphony wants them 20 feet back from the stage. And the other thing they want is to cordon off the area where the musicians will be when they go back and forth to the stage from the green room area. They don't want any mingling between the audience and the musicians. So then I'll try to space out the chairs a little bit also when we're setting them up. But do you think 350 would work in there instead of 300 with no tables?
If they want that big of an aisle going out to the green room, you're going to lose a lot of space with that. They're wanting 20 feet of space as they go in and out of the green room.
No, not as they go in and out of the green room. Just the front row is 20 feet back.
How much room do they want going in and out of the green room?
The door, just the one door where they, the far door back.
I think she's saying they just want the hallway blocked off so nobody will go in their area or wherever they're going to be.
They're going to be on the two rooms in the far back on the left side, coming, hanging out there and then coming in from there. they'll be using one door. And so the cordoning off will just be back there.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to envision this. When they come in, do they want space as they come in, or just in the hallway, or just around the door? In other words, do they want an 8-foot hallway to come in on that goes inside the concert hall, inside the ballroom?
Probably.
They don't want to hit a table as soon as they come in the ballroom, right?
I'm not
I mean,
sure
or
I
chairs.
understand what you're saying.
They need room to come in to go to the stage, which means there's
Yeah.
going to have to be an empty row, a few, maybe 6 to 8 feet of space where they're going to have to move through, where they don't want people sitting.
Oh, I think how we set up the jazz orchestra is this is going to be different. They're going to set up at one end of the room, not against the back wall. You know what I mean? They're going to be setting up on the left wall.
Okay, well, I think why don't you send, I work with you on this. If you send me a diagram of where the musicians are going to be and where the doors to the hallway are going to be, and I can figure out the square footage so they can come in without hitting seats. But if you can get me draw out a diagram and email it to me, and then we can work with Barbara in terms of numbers. But we probably have to have that before we say we can expand it to 350 or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
I have the
They're not
drawing
going to
of,
need an aisle because they're just going to be up at the front of the audience. So they just come in from the back going. So they're not, the whole audience is going to be lengthwise, not sidewise. If
So
that
that-
makes sense.
So there'll be a
that also-
direct access to the stage then.
Yeah,
basically, from the-
exactly. Mhm.
So that also changes where we're letting people in at now at West Beach.
Yeah,
Because we've
that
been
shouldn't be a
funneling them
problem.
around the side doors. And now we're gonna have to bring them in the front, right?
Who? The
No.
musicians? No.
Oh, the audience.
The audience.
Oh, the audience. Well, no, they can still come in the side.
Yeah.
I'll have to draw, but
You gotta-
imagine the
I
whole
think
big.
you're gonna have to bring them in the
Remember
front doors,
how-
like Stephanie says, front doors.
I think
And
so
leave that
too.
side hall open for them.
Yeah.
And
I think
there's
that's-
several front doors there, so it's not a problem.
We're not doing a bar, so they won't have the where they set up the bars in front of the doors with wires across this time. So
Well, that's one way to do it. But if you
David,
want
I have a diagram of that whole space.
uh,
yeah, might want to if you can send that to Becky and she can sort of draw out what she
Yeah.
sees. But I agree with Van. I think bringing people in the front, that way they're not going to have to mess with the hallway at all where the musicians are. That's the one way if you let them in the side doors, they're going to be around where the musicians, unless you've got the musicians way far back. But I don't see any reason why not letting in the audience in the front then.
well, that's one solution to this. So we'll talk about it.
Becky, have you contacted Barbara about the setup yet, or you're still?
Oh,
working-
yeah. We've been in touch quite a bit. Yeah. So they're coming in on Thursday with Snyder's, and Kyle's already told them exactly what to do. And I'm not going to be involved in that, which is good. And then the symphony is rehearsing on Friday and Saturday. And Barbara knows all of this. And
Becky, can you do me one favor and tell Kyle when he deals with Snyder, tell them that they messed up the freight elevator in the entrance last time and to be really careful bringing in their equipment. Okay,
Mhm.
Okay.
great. Judy, you want to talk about Quentin and the capacities?
Yes, well, Quentin and I are trying to talk to each other. It's a little difficult. Currently, he is in Switzerland, and his internet connection and phone connection is not at all good. Quentin is trying to figure out what is the fewest number of tickets that he can sell and break even. And that's it. And I've told him, look, we didn't ask you to do this to break even. We really expect you to make some money. But I suggested maybe you ought to think about doing 2 concerts instead of 3. And that's a problem for him because he's already got these 3 places booked. And not only that, but these people come here to us and then they go to other places. Quentin takes them other places. So he's got that whole thing set up. So cutting out 1 concert is not at all appealing to him. We tried to talk this morning and kept breaking up. But he would like to hear from us what is the maximum number of people we are willing to put in there. And then he's also got to talk to he's having trouble getting in touch with Fox. He needs the piano from Fox, and Fox has raised his rates, has everyone else about that. So he's got to get some figures on that. So how many people will we, how many tickets will we allow? And one thing is, if all of We Arts Council people come, that takes away some of his tickets and Quentin's revenue. I told him that we weren't having an awful lot of our Arts Council people going to concerts because of various and sundry things. But he really needs to know how many he can sell.
But did we talk about the setup without, you're going to try to keep it with chairs and tables, right? Because we talked about
No, he's willing to go with chairs.
Okay.
And David, you sent me a very good drawing that my email has eaten. I cannot find it. They had it set up so that for the maximum number of people in the room and the spacing. But I have lost it. Barbara says she never saw it, but I thought I sent it to her. But at any rate, if you could find that, or we could agree on a number, then we can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I did that last year. I've got that on my computer. I'll send it to you.
Good.
And it did have a certain amount of distance to it in terms of the chairs.
It did. It was a
Take
beautiful
a look at that
job.
capacity again. What was the number for Pure, Becky? Was it 125 that we put in there? Yeah.
I don't think
we could go a lot higher. We could go higher than that. I think.
Okay.
What's the regular capacity, Stephanie? Do you remember for Turtle? I don't have it on.
Regular is 220. When
we have gotten and for Quentin's events and tables, we have had as many as 240 tickets. He has a way with Barbara. He is able to call her and she's able to put a few more chairs in. But of course that we don't want that to happen now. It's a different situation.
Well, if he comes back at you in terms of his break even, then we can see how far we can push it. And we're not going to be able to push it. I don't think we'll be able to push it over 200.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm thinking,
I'm thinking he's probably going to say his break even is like 140 or 150.
Oh.
But that's an educated guess. He's really hemming and hawing and trying to figure this out. And we got to remember, he's on a multi-city European tour right now. So it's a little hard. And before Quentin, let me just put it this way. Quentin is very much in demand and very busy, which is good for him, but he's behind.
And we're going ahead with Liquid Pleasure. So any
We
views
are?
on that? That's what you said last time.
Why not?
Okay.
At a reduced capacity. I mean, I thought that's where we were going.
Okay.
And that seemed to be the vote in terms of not canceling, the events in the season.
Right.
But it's your call, Judy, if you're uncomfortable.
Well, no, it's not my call, David. I can handle doing liquid pleasure, but at this point, I cannot be there.
Yeah.
So
No, I know that.
yeah.
Well, I guess here's the thing. Do we feel that we're being responsible by sponsoring a dance, you know, given where the pandemic is? I mean, we're doing better in Charleston County for sure than we were a month ago, but we're still sort of in that danger zone, and winter is coming, and people are going to be inside. So I guess that's the question for us. Do we want to sponsor a dance where people are close together, where we have no control over distance, I guess?
No, we have no control over distance. And another thing is, if you look at the statistics in the UK, and my daughter-in-law's brother lives in the UK. The UK is anticipating that they're starting another wave of increase in infections. We don't know. We keep assuming that this is going to get better and continue to get better, and then we get hit by a wave. We have no way of knowing at this point what it's going to be like in January. So I think we just have to make a decision and go with it.
The other thing is, why don't we just think about the event with minus the dance floor? So we always give them a place to dance. If they don't have a place to dance, of course, people will still get up and maybe do that, but at least we're not encouraging a mass. It will be a different experience, but that's one thing to take away.
Would we set it up, and that would cut some expense too. But would we set it up like an empty place for them to dance, or would we just put the tables out and they have to dance in between the tables?
I would say you would probably set it up the same way we did with the orchestra, and then it kind of minimizes their ability to do that. But at least you're still able to enjoy the music. But obviously, you know, that's something we haven't talked about. So
I'd like to
Well,
know.
you know, when they come to the dance, they're coming with their spouse or whatever. So it's not like they're dancing with a lot of strange people. They basically are going to be one-on-one with their spouse.
But you're going to be surrounded by people.
did you want to say something, Dylan?
Just a little bit of an out of the box thought, and that was just have a small dance floor and hire a couples to dance during the thing, and it just gives people entertainment without adding a big dance floor for everyone to get on.
Interesting. I've been to this thing
coming
2 or
there
3
to
times.
dance.
Yeah, they've been to this before because they
Will
know
not go.
liquid pleasure, and they
Yeah.
come to dance, and the dance
Okay.
floor is filled with
They have.
audience members. And I think Stephanie, even if we block it off and make it more of a concert, which I think is definitely a possibility, I think because it's liquid pleasure, people have an expectation, and it's going to be tough to sort of tamp down on that expectation.
I agree. That's why they're coming.
Can you move the venue? Can you change the venue by any chance?
Where would
We're
we
the
go?
largest venue we got, really. We're at West Beach. So, I mean, you know, the deal is if we make the dance floor really large and the seating and don't have tables, I mean, I could see us doing that. People will have room, because last time we did it, was it at the hotel last time?
Yes.
Which was smaller, and the
Right.
dance floor was very small, and people were really bumping into each other. I mean, it was very cramped.
And they were dancing in the hallways around the bar and everything. It was for me, it was a total madhouse. And when the years before, we've had it at West Beach, and this thing has just grown to the point that it's just a huge party. That's all.
I have one.
Some people,
cra-
this is
I have
the
one
only
crazy
thing they come
suggestion, if
to.
I may
Go
enter
ahead,
a
Van.
suggestion. I have a suggestion. I don't know how far-fetched it is, number the tables. And just let them announce this is an odd table dance. And so anybody sitting at an odd number table can go dance. Now, or this is now it's an even table dance. If you're an even table, you can now go dance. And that would at least cut it in half, or possibly.
Van, I think that's a very good idea, but I don't think people will pay any attention to it.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh, sure they
I
will.
agree.
Not
When
this,
their
not
favorite
this
song
crowd.
comes up, they're not going to be sitting down. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to make a decision really at this meeting as to whether or not we're gonna do this. And the
Well,
question is, go ahead.
The consistency, the consensus seems to be that we're going to do it. Okay, so maybe we stretch out the tables a bit to get some space there. The question is whether or not we have a dance floor. That's what we really need to decide.
Yeah, and I think we could, I think it could be done. It's a big space. If we're cutting the capacity, which I think will help a great deal. I mean, people will be upset because they won't be able to get tickets. It'll be a small number of people, but if we do it the same and have half the number of the people we usually have, I'm a little bit more comfortable with that, Judy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go above 50% though, for sure.
Okay, what is that 50? What is that number?
We had 500 set
Yeah.
aside for this, so that would be 250 people.
I think that is a lot more manageable. I agree. We're going to have a lot of mad people, but I think that makes sense.
And probably very little no-shows.
Oh yeah. In fact, we will have a whole batch of people who will come without tickets and finagle their way in.
Yeah. Well, no, they won't, because of
No, they won't.
Remember the last time at the sanctuary?
They did at the sanctuary. You are right.
Yeah.
They did.
It'll be tougher this time though.
What
But
about
again, if we enlarge the dance floor, is that a prohibited price? Because I remember the dance floor, it does cost quite a bit.
it does?
But I think it might really be important to enlarge the dance floor if we possibly can. Can we do that?
What do you think, folks?
We have to check on pricing about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We
Judy, have you been doing that with the dance floor?
Oh yeah, I've been doing the dance floor.
That's what I thought.
So
Is
I'll check
there,
on prices.
Sorry. Is there any liability to not having the dance floor and just allowing them to dance by their table, like Stephanie was suggesting?
I would prefer that, and for me, but that doesn't mean anybody else would agree with me. The dance floor is slick. I feel
Right.
safe dancing on the rug, but people I think are going to expect a dance floor.
Well, Judy, they may expect space for a dance floor, and we can block out some space around the tables, but I don't think necessarily we have to have the wooden slick dance floor. And maybe Dylan is right. We forego that and just make small spaces for dances as opposed to one big space, and just have it on the carpet and have room in between the tables where people could dance. Which is really what Judy's suggesting. I think that might work.
Mhm.
What do the rest of you think?
I agree.
Right, well, let's try that. We've got to move on because I'm going to have to go in a little bit, but I wanted to see if anyone has been in touch with any artists in terms of COVID protocols, or have you heard anything from agents? Anything to report?
Nothing to report on my end. Quentin is taking care of his artists. Talked with Chris Brubeck, and he says, April, how do we know what it's going to be like in April? So I think, and they are touring, and he says when they tour, they have distance between them and the audience. So we can set that up later. We've got time for that.
And I checked with the Carla Bonoff agent, said the same thing. As long as there's distance between her and the audience, that's what they care about.
Charlton Singleton said the same thing. I told him what we did for Marantz, and he thought that was fine for him. But they were back 20 feet or so from the stage.
David, I've got something else that I'd like to do. I am the facilitator, whatever, for jazz. I've heard nothing from anybody about jazz suggestions. And that's one thing I wanted to let you know. Another thing is that I have a list of about 10 possibilities that I think would be worth for the group, worthy of the group's consideration. I am not going to do 2 and 10 events no matter what. So I would like to give my list of things to people and see if anybody wants to take any of those or if they're interested in them.
Throw them out there. Yeah.
Throw them out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
send them out because that's great. And let's hold off for next season. Anything else for this season coming up? Or and Stephanie, do you have anything?
Yeah, and David, if you wanted to, I could wrap up the meeting. I have a couple things I'd like to ask, if that's okay.
Go ahead. I've still got about 10 minutes. So
okay. So the risers for the ballet, Joan, have you heard anything about that? Because that was that and the dance floor, Snyder was saying how booked they are. So I'm concerned that maybe we need to check on availability for those things.
Right. Okay.
Later.
Yeah, the ballet is a new tech person coming on board. So
yeah,
as soon he's coming out here with William. So the sooner the better.
Right. Okay.
And we want Snyder's to be very careful loading and unloading those things. We don't want the resort being upset about their walls and elevator being hurt.
Yes, and they managed to damage a wall at Turtle Point, which Stephanie took care of with Barbara, but they didn't charge us for repairing, but they did do some damage there.
Yes.
Again, I think they're working with day laborers that aren't as skilled. So we need to warn them.
The pandemic has created a lot where those people in event services and all events related, they had to go and find other work during that time. And I think everyone's having trouble getting back up and running. I mean, you just see that across the board. Everyone's having trouble getting back.
Right.
I also, Joan, the piano tuner invoice came in at 140. I had them estimated at 180. Is he going to be 140?
Yeah, he's going to be 140.
Okay,
that's nice.
That is good. Okay. And then what else did I have? So I guess we could talk about that the day of, but David, if you're going to be there at the counters, I'm trying to think with West Beach, we'll have to minimize. We're not going to be able to open all 4 doors because we're going to have to communicate with the counters. So
we'll have to have somebody on the inside looking at empty seats too.
Yeah. Okay. So we probably need to get there a little bit before. If we said doors are open at 4:30, we need to be there a little bit before so we can make sure we have our ducks in a row.
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
I'll be there at 4.
4 o'clock is good. I'll be there before then, but 4 o'clock is good.
Judy mentioned the facilitator process. I don't know if anyone's heard anything, Becky or Bill or Joan, in terms of holiday. It's still a little early, but please, if you have a jazz thing, please just let Judy know. If you have something classical or choral, let Becky know. Dance or theater is me. And again, this is more for communication, so we can put it out there. In terms of Americana, Bill, I'm in touch with the California Guitar Trio that didn't make the cut 2 years ago, but I'd like to. I'm probably going to propose them again, so I'll make you aware of that. It's $5,000 probably be in the spring of 2023. So I'll send you a note on that, Bill, okay?
Thank you.
So
And I'd like to
David,
see,
when do you want to know who sent what? I mean,
Well, yeah,
when do you want-
I think we should be able to see all of that. Yeah.
Here's what my vision was, that at this meeting, if you've been sent stuff, just to tell us what's going on, if you've heard of anything that people are thinking about. That's all.
well, I've heard some things. Do you want to hear
Go ahead.
about
Yeah.
that? Okay, the only person I've heard from is Van, and he's proposing 2 choral groups. And I don't know if you want specifics on that, but
One
Yeah.
choral group.
one choral group. Oh, well, there was
It-
the men's
it-
choral group, and
That's it.
what was the other one?
It was an ensemble of piano, trumpet, and flute.
Oh, okay.
That
Sorry.
was for a Christmas one, right?
And then I'm proposing a pianist named David Fung, who played with the symphony about 2 weeks ago,
very good.
and phenomenal. And I'm also proposing a violinist named Jennifer Frauchi, who's an Avery Fisher Award winner, and she played to great acclaim at Spoleto this summer. And so that's what I know so far.
I would like to see somebody take on getting the Sam Bush Band. That's one that we voted on very enthusiastically, and then we didn't have them for several reasons. That's an extremely good group, and I think we would enjoy them.
I agree.
But I don't want to do them.
Is that bluegrass?
Yeah, it's bluegrass.
Bluegrass, yeah.
Who's
Judy,
handling
Go ahead.
comedians? And who's handling things of comedians and things like that?
That is me.
Okay.
And I got your note on that, so I'll check with the Sam Bush group, Judy. I'm interested in them. I worked with Gary a little on that. So.
Yes, I know you did, and they're just. I mean, Sam is a living legend.
Yeah, he's great, and he did some great stuff during the pandemic.
He did.
Anything else? But send it to those facilitators.
Okay.
The other thing is, Stephanie's going to send out the planning calendar. The cultural event applications are in. The deadline was, I think, on the 2nd, and so Stephanie will get those to us. So we'll see what's been proposed. It's the usual bunch: Moran's, symphony, jazz orchestra. Who else am I missing, Stephanie? And Quentin.
Ballet.
When-
The ballet is not there.
I didn't
It's
apply
not
this year,
there?
Joan. No. So, and on December 2nd is the public meeting. That will be at town hall. And that's when we invite folks in and they can, we'll talk about it. We're not going to vote. We're just going to hear the presentations and go through the applications, but we're not going to vote on them. That's going to happen on the 2nd.
Do they have to show up?
No, it's totally optional. We'll go through each application like we usually will do. If the people are there and they want to speak to it, that's fine. If not, we'll just move from application to application. We'll do that. I think we've scheduled that at 1 p.m. for the public meeting. It's on the calendar, Stephanie. It's at least when I went to the town calendar.
I'll send out the dates again
Okay.
for everybody.
Thank you.
And then we'll have our general usual meeting at 2 after that, or whenever we finish looking at the applications. I'm gonna stop now, but also on the agenda was the ranking system, and I'll have Van and I corresponded a little yesterday and today. And so Van, if you can sort of describe that. We approved it last meeting, but I wanted him to sort of go into a little bit more detail of what's going to happen in terms of that ranking. And then Stephanie, you can sort of finish things off then?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Take care, David.
Yeah.
Take care.
And thank you for all your kind words and thoughts. My son he had the surgery. He's sort of post-surgery recovering. They're going to start treatment probably in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go out there probably the beginning of December. I might go out for a weekend before that to see him. but he's doing okay, and as well as can be expected. And we're sort of realistic, but also optimistic as well. So, but I appreciate everybody's kind words and thoughts. Thank you so much.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about the ranking system. It was developed by Kristen and Jody and I, and with a lot of input from David on what we should do. It was brought up before, and everybody agreed that this would be a good approach. It's a two-prong approach. You'll be first voting, and all this will come out in writing. It's important with instructions, but you'll be voting within each category, whether it's classical, Americana, entertainment, those ones the facilitators are in charge of. Each member will rank each of those categories, what's in them. There could be 10 items in there, there could be 3, but whatever's in there, you rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once that is done, those rankings will be compiled into one ranking based on what everybody says. All the 1s and 2s and 3s will all be tabulated and put together into one list. The next step would be to challenge each of you to take those lists, those rankings, and build a season, each of you, based on the rankings and considering the goals. The goals are diversity. What was the other goal? I didn't plan on have David was going to do it. So it's what Kristen, what diversity?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm looking for quality. Quality was one.
Quality, diversity, and well, quality was not in there because that's what you do before you propose something. You figure out the quality, but you can look at quality in your mind, but also diversity and variety,
Right.
and balance. That was the other one. Yeah.
Balance.
If you consider all those things as you put together a season, you have to do it based on the rankings. So you can look at the rankings in jazz, for example, and you can start with whichever one got the #1 ranking overall. And then you look at the same thing in the other categories and use those to start your season. And then you start going down the list. You can go to #2, or if you're not interested in #2, you can jump to #3, but you got to work your way down the list. You can't jump down and then jump back up. So you put this together, not eliminating any proposal at this point. And then after that is done, we put all of your seasons together and come up with a final season based on compiling what you have done. I'm not sure I explained that real well, but
let me share this. Is this what you wanted? This is what we had. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
So
yeah.
Is that
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad to see that. But all of it's not on this sheet. The second phase is not spelled out.
Right.
And these annual events, the only annual events we have right now are piano bar and art films. Those are definitely annual events.
Right.
The other list, the rest of them we'll put there to show you that these are things that come back almost every year.
Right.
They will be put in with everything else to be ranked if they're proposed, So we're not going to have this long list of annual events unless there's something on that list you think should be an annual event, like maybe the symphony or something. But right now it's piano bar and art films. And we can talk about, and we talk about later whether any of those others should be annual events. And of course, if it is annual, that's temporary. It's not a permanent thing in any way. But at this point, they would all drop into the ranking system. So, what are your questions?
I'm confused on how then they're gonna, so I thought we were gonna all rank, but then you're saying that you're gonna propose everyone's building their own season based on the rankings?
Right. Once they rank and we put that together, then they can look at that and start building a season
Okay.
that is balanced, diverse, that's a variety in their opinion.
So how would we?
Those will be turned in and then we put all that together, compile that, and then the result would be basically the season. As usual, there will be adjustments
Yeah.
when it's over. It will not be in stone, you know, until we've looked at what we came up with and discussed it and looked at our money and, you know, so there's a lot of variables that may have changed the ultimate outcome.
A question, Vance.
Yes,
So we're not going to have any discussions about this. We're going to each be acting individually,
correct.
but
That's what we did. That's what we did last year.
You mean, Judy, do you mean the proposal part where each member gets to talk about what they propose?
yeah,
We didn't do that last year and we're not going to do it this year.
I thought we did.
Well, I don't know why we didn't.
I wasn't there.
The reason we didn't was because we were trying a new system. But for years and years, we've always been talking about what we were proposing
Yes.
and putting together a notebook so everybody can read about everything. But last
Well,
year was also different.
We'll still
because-
have that notebook. We'll still have the notebook and the proposals and pictures and whatever.
Well,
What about
one thing that
What
I
about
would,
the videos?
yeah.
You'll have links to those.
And Van, one thing is that I'm not an expert in all of these categories. For instance,
I'm not either.
Dance, I would like to hear from people who have more knowledge in the areas that I don't have knowledge.
I don't really understand why we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak.
Well, we did
When
last year.
I think the way we had been presenting our events was rather enjoyable. It was kind of a momentous occasion we all maybe more or less look forward to.
Well,
and
you're
enjoy
assuming we're going to
hearing.
meet in person.
Yes, that's what I
Yeah.
think we want to do.
Yeah,
Well, we cannot right now.
We
Why
can
not?
we can meet by Zoom.
But then we can't do what Becky's suggesting.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we can. We can preview the events, go see those beforehand.
Well,
Then-
yeah, that's what we'll do.
That's what we should do. And
That's
then
what it's set up to do. It's set up to do that.
Van, excuse me,
Yeah.
please. We can see the events, the clips and all that. Then we can get together by Zoom, and the person who proposes the event can say why they propose the event. Keep it short. We need to put a timer on it, and then we can vote after that. Then I would be able to ask questions of some of the people who are proposing things in areas that I don't know as much about, and I would like to do that.
Well, we had a committee that worked diligently through this, and all of this has been run by David many times. And a lot of this is David's suggestions. He sort of countered some of ours, and he is on board with it.
Well, I guess what
So
I'm
we'll
trying
have to,
say,
you'll have to address that to David.
I am not.
We're not going to start over, I don't think.
I am not on board with our not having input and giving input and receiving input. I think that is a valuable thing to do. And yes, you had a committee, and you and David, who are among the newer Arts Council members were on that committee, and then our two very newest Arts Council members. The rest of us have been doing this for 10 years. And we're experienced in it, and we see the advantages of it.
Yeah, I think really it should be a vote of the whole group
Yes.
about how we do something, not just a couple of people decide.
Well, I think probably the original reason for that is it is hard to get everyone to agree on one way of doing something. And we've tried a multitude of ways of doing that, right? So I wasn't aware of the after the ranking that everyone kind of went their separate ways and made a season. So maybe we do need to talk to David about that, because I don't think you're saying that, because we always have kind of done that. If after we've all been presented the proposals, you've all kind of gone on your own way, because that's the vote. So that's how we voted, right? Everyone has kind of
Yes.
always anonymously voted about what they wanted. But the second half to the hasn't been shared with me either. So I think it's kind of hard to understand that piece
Yeah.
of it, Van.
David and I have discussed this at length, and we're in agreement on it. It's just a second level of ranking is what it is.
Yeah.
There's an original ranking by category, and then there's another ranking overall based on what you did in the categories. The goal was to be sure we get the balance and diversity that we want. I mean, that's why it's sort of set up that way. It's based on those goals
But
rather,
haven't
rather
we
than throwing
usually-
things out. Go
Yeah.
ahead, I'm sorry.
Haven't we usually gotten a pretty good balance and diversity by just simply voting with a ranking system? But to put together our own seasons sounds very complicated, especially to evaluate what everybody does. Somehow we've always managed, it seems to me, to get diversity and a very balanced season always.
I can-
Sometimes maybe a little too much of this, a little too much of that. But in the long run, we've had plenty of diversity. This looks really complicated to me.
And I can remember one particular time in the past where after our first meeting, before we got together for the second meeting to really finalize things, we more than once we said, wait, this is not as balanced as we would like for it to be. I can remember one time there was a wonderful, I think she was a violinist, and she didn't get on the list. She didn't make it. And then we got to looking at, whoa, we're not balanced. So we moved things around. We're perfectly capable of looking at the overall things and doing shuffling. We should.
One of the things I need to send out to you guys is the last survey that we have done. So that I think that was one of the things that
Okay,
everyone's
great.
interested in seeing. So that might be helpful going into proposal time as well. I mean, I would like to see how that would work, even like from a staff perspective, Van. We would, I'm just trying to think how that would work. Like I understand the ranking part, but what I don't understand is how then we come together with everyone's separate seasons. I'm not sure I understand how that, so then we tally kind of
Yes.
It's almost like we're voting again, who chose. Okay, so like,
Yes.
if a certain event within this category got in 4 people's seasons, then they move higher up the list kind of
Yes.
thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like
And-
a two-part.
I
think
don't
that what's
understand why we can't get together in person. We have a big meeting room there. We could be very well spaced out rather than going on Zoom all the time, and we could communicate better, I think.
I agree with you, Joan, but some of us have problems. and our physicians are not allowing us to meet in groups.
I do have a suggestion there. Judy and Jody, I'm pretty sure I can Zoom you guys into the large conference room. We've been doing like a hybrid thing for some other meetings that have been taking place where one or two people were either couldn't travel or something like that. If the majority of the committee is comfortable coming, we could do a very large in our training room. We could do it spaced out, and we could have you guys up on the screen, up on the projection screen. But I just we'd need to work through the logistics a little bit. I agree, something like a meeting like this, if we're going to go through all of that, it's helpful to be in the same room. Zoom is not, it's great, but it's not good for something like a long-term planning thing like that, where there's so many of us trying to talk at the same time and accidentally talking over each other. And so it just, I don't know, maybe that's something that we should talk about with David.
I mean, but also, I think we're all probably triple vaccinated by now and can wear a mask as well. So I'm very comfortable with having the big room, and if those who can't come are comfortable Zooming in, I think it's better if we could meet in person.
The only thing that I cannot guarantee you, obviously, that we're a town committee, and so all of our meetings do have to be open to the public. So even our planning sessions that we used to do at Cacique had to be open to the public, though we didn't have many in attendance. So, there's not a mask mandate. There's not one here in town hall either. So I can't guarantee that, that certain employees would be wearing masks. But to be honest with you, if we set it up in council chambers and our training room, I mean, I can minimize the exposure you might have to those who might not be wearing a mask. But it wouldn't be any, I mean, for those of us that are going to Arts Council events, it would be much less interaction with public than we have at those events. So I think everyone just has to decide on their level of comfortness, and just know that we're going to do the best we can to set up the room so that everyone's appropriately spaced. And I think that's the best we can do with that.
And we hardly ever get any members of the public anyway, and we could certainly put them way back from the rest of us.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you recall the way we do we've done cultural events, they were not apart. We all sat around a very large table, and then there was seating for people, the applicants, if they came. And I think the only people that have ever come is the ballet. And
Yeah.
maybe symphony a long time ago, but. So, okay. Well, Van, then did you think, is there something that's written up that kind of explains that second half of the selection a little bit and more in detail, or are you guys still working it out?
I sent it to David, yeah.
Okay. So it hasn't, yeah.
And he reviewed it, and because he had a lot of questions, and so, but it sounds like most of you are opposed to any change and wanting to go back to what we did years ago. Is that what I'm hearing? I know I heard
Yes.
that from Joan and Becky and
Right.
Judy. And what about you, Bill?
I like the idea of us communicating with one another rather than all the paperwork, but I think that we worked it out in the past. I would think that's part of this. It needs to be included into that proposal.
Okay, so that's
I
at
like
least
the- Excuse
that's
me.
at least 5 people who are not interested in looking at this way of doing it.
No, I
Van,
think we're interested in looking, but I think at the end, before we make a final decision, I think it's good to sit down together.
We will. That's part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Once that
Van,
second phase is done, then we sit down as a council and we work out the details and make adjustments and
Uh-huh.
whatever needs to be done.
Van,
Yeah.
I think the idea of our ranking individually is a good idea as far as the first ranking. I don't understand the second ranking and how that's valuable. But what I do think is that our meeting by Zoom, preferably a hybrid, would give us a chance to have some interaction about and having the presentations. That would give us a chance to have some interaction, ask some questions of each other. And I have found that to be valuable in the past.
That would probably have to be a separate meeting.
No,
to
the
do
way I
that,
can,
so
way
that
I
we
s-
could do that before you're talking about doing it before the first rating, right?
yes, that's
Yeah,
what.
so that would, it couldn't be a regular council meeting because we have too much else on the agenda, but
No,
maybe we could set up another meeting to do
what we
that.
could, the way I envision it, and you can explain to me what you're thinking is, I don't think we're quite on the same page, is that we have the meeting with the presentations. We get our ballot sheets and take them home and get the first group of ratings together. And then come back together, and at that point, I think we could each of us could put a season together and then come back together and discuss it.
That's pretty much what I was saying.
Yes, it is, except that there wasn't going to be there wasn't going to
Well,
be any
true.
presentation.
Yeah.
And
I'm
there wasn't
open
gonna
to
be-
that. I'm open to doing that.
I want the discussion so that I can understand things better.
Well, that's reasonable.
And that part, Van, you're right, looks a lot like what we used to do, which is
Yes.
meet and everyone is able to sample what's being proposed, even though they already have the proposals in front of them because they've been distributed in some sort of book
Right.
or packet like we've done in the
Right.
past. So they're able to
Yeah.
review the information beforehand, but we're coming together and then whoever it is proposing is able to speak to the proposal
Right.
a little bit. People that don't really understand or maybe not understanding
Yeah.
what was presented are able to ask questions, and
Yeah.
then the ranking thing happens. Is that what I'm
Yeah.
hearing?
That's
Yes,
that's-
that, it would
And I
work
would
well that
Plus-
way. It's just that
Yeah.
we did not do that last year, so that's probably why it wasn't mentioned this time, but I'm open to doing that. I don't see any problem with that if logistics allow it.
And I would
Plus,
like, if we
historically-
still see the videos, I think David did it after Bob left. David did it and it worked fine.
Okay,
And-
well, it can be done. It can be done.
I
And
think
I'm
the
fine
new
with that.
people would like that too.
Okay.
To see
I think
what we're
everybody
talking about.
seems open to that. That's fine. And I'm sure Jody would be too. It's just, it'll mean one extra meeting. That's what it'll mean. That's about it.
Sure. So the other thing is we do have three new members that have not been through this process before.
Yep.
And so I think probably what needs to happen is once we get this all firmed up, there probably needs to be a portion of our next meeting or something that talks about the process, because I'm assuming that they are also going to want to be proposing for this next planning season, because that's.
They've been invited to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure everybody's on the same. page.
Yeah, we can get it in written form and then discuss it. Yeah.
And I've got this list of ideas. I'm going to go ahead and send the list of ideas to all of you. And if you want to look at those and see if you want to propose any of them, wonderful.
You're talking
Okay,
about the jazz category?
Pardon?
You're talking about in the jazz category?
No, I'm talking about period.
Okay. All
All right,
right.
Stephanie, you can carry
Yes.
on.
Okay, I just wanted to give you guys an update a little bit about, I've been interviewing for the Arts and Cultural Events Coordinator, we've got some really good prospects. I have one more interview on Monday, and then I should be able to have a pretty good decision. And then obviously there's a little bit of a, back and forth and offering time. And so I will continue to update you with that, but I'm excited about who has applied. So I think
Good.
that you're going to be pleased.
Good.
So I just wanted to give you an update on that. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to talk about? Otherwise, I think we can adjourn, but anyone else? Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm
So
so
moved.
moved.
Second?
Second, I'll do both.
Okay, thanks, guys. Be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.